Good morning everyone. I am Subhashni from the Department of Zoology and Genetics. So for today's class we will be studying on aquatic ecosystems. So what is an ecosystem? It is nothing but an interaction between living and the non-living beings. In general, I can say it is an interaction between biotic and non-biotic components. Now, when we are considering this aquatic ecosystem, it is the one that is mainly concerned with water. So we are dealing with aquatic ecosystem that is concerned with water. Now we can classify this aquatic ecosystem broadly into two types. The freshwater ecosystem and saltwater ecosystem. This classification is done on the basis of salinity or on the basis of the dissolved materials. So, on the basis of salinity, I can say the freshwater ecosystem has very less amount of salts, and the saltwater given in the name has more amount of salts. So, the salinity is less in the freshwater ecosystem and more in the saltwater ecosystem. Now coming to the freshwater ecosystem, it can again be classified into two types. Lentic and lotic ecosystems. So what is lentic and lotic? Lentic is nothing but the still water or the standing water, and lotic is the running water. So freshwater ecosystem is classified into lentic and lotic. An example for lentic is ponds and lakes where it is the standing water. Lotic example is rivers. An example for the saltwater ecosystem is estuary and marine, that is either oceans or seas. So now let's talk about the freshwater ecosystem. Freshwater ecosystem, as I've already told, it consists of less amount of salt. So we can consider lentic and lotic ecosystems. Now we will study the various physico-chemical factors that is to be considered here. The first factor that we can consider is the temperature. Temperature is a very important factor. The temperature is a very important factor. A variation in the temperature can be seen, that is either diurnal variations and seasonal variations. Diurnal variation is a change in the temperature in the day. Seasonal, every season there is a change in the temperature. So depending on the temperature also, the biotic communities, the organisms of the ecosystem also changes. The other factor that we need to consider is oxygen. Oxygen, a very important factor. As we all know, it is important factor. It is required for respiration both by plants and animals and I'm forgetting the point. Now coming to the physico-chemical factors of the freshwater ecosystem. We'll be studying the different factors that are important for the freshwater ecosystem. The first one is the temperature. One of the most important factor, there's a change in the temperature and the changes can be either diurnal or seasonal. The temperature can change within the day, that can be diurnal, seasonal. Every season there is a change in the temperature. Another important thing in temperatures, stenothermic and euthermic animals. When it comes to stenothermic, the animals have a very narrow range of tolerance to the temperature, whereas in euthermic, a wide range of tolerance with the temperature. The animals can either be stenothermic or euthermic. The second factor that is important is the oxygen. We all know that the oxygen is very important. Plants require oxygen for respiration and they liberate it for in the process of photosynthesis. So, for respiration and in the process of photosynthesis, plants consume this oxygen, they liberate out carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide that is liberated is consumed for the process of photosynthesis, and the oxygen can be from the atmospheric. Exchange of oxygen can take place from the atmosphere. The atmospheric oxygen can be exchanged. Influx of oxygen can take place. The oxygen is required by the organism. When I say organism, it is both plants and animals. Both plants and animals require oxygen. The third factor that is important is the carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide, as already told, again for respiration, when they consume oxygen, they liberate out carbon dioxide. That carbon dioxide is utilized for photosynthesis. The fourth factor is the other gases. Not all the lakes and ponds are clean. Most of them are polluted. So mostly we find other gases like methane and etc. So the other gases, the fifth one is the pH. The pH of the water needs to be maintained. There can be a change in the pH when the water is polluted or it is not clean. So maintaining the pH is important. So this was about the physico-chemical factors of the water. Now coming to the zonation of the freshwater ecosystem. So we can divide the freshwater ecosystem into various zones. For example, if this is the lake body, I can divide this lake body into different zones. Primarily into 3 zones. I can call this zone as the littoral zone. The second one as the limnatic zone. The third one as the profundal zone. So, three zones: littoral zone, the limnetic zone, and the profundal zone. The littoral zone is nothing but the zone that is near to the coastal area, near to the coast or to the shore, and where the water littoral zone is the zone that is near to the shore, abundance of oxygen. We can find rooted plants there. The penetrance of sun rays, so light penetrance can takes place in the littoral zone. Now coming to the limnetic zone. Limnetic is after the littoral zone. Here this is away from the shore. The zone that is away from the shore, we can call it as the limnetic zone. And in this limnetic zone, the light penetration is also possible. Here we can find invertebrates, vertebrates like fishes. So freshwater organisms can be found in the limnetic zone. Now coming to the profundal zone. Profundal zone is nothing but the deepest region of the any water body. So here a very little amount of light penetration can take place, or if the water body is very deep, then no light penetration. So this is the deepest layer. Three layers: the littoral zone, limnetic, and the profundal zone. Now coming to the biotic communities. What do I mean by biotic communities? It is nothing but the various organisms that inhabit the various regions or various zones of the water body. Now, right from the tiniest microorganism to the largest vertebrate can occupy the various regions of the water body. So there can be planktons. When I say planktons, they can be either zooplanktons or phytoplanktons. Small invertebrates. Any invertebrate, molluscans, insect larvae. So it can be invertebrates can also occupy their regions. Third one can be small fishes. From fishes can range from various size, either from small to large. So we can find planktons, invertebrates, and different kinds of vertebrates. Now, when I say it's an ecosystem, there must be food chain and food web. Every ecosystem has its own food chain and food web. So aquatic ecosystem, the freshwater ecosystem also has its own food chain. Now, when I say food chain, it is a link, no? Every organism it's being eaten, and from produces are eaten by the primary consumers by the secondary consumers, and so on. So from here I can take the primary producers as the planktons. These planktons can be consumed by small invertebrates. And these invertebrates can be fed upon by these vertebrates. Vertebrates, when I say, can be any fishes or any other organism.